October 12, 1969. 147th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, Harlem, 3:30 a.m. Tommy the Tooth. Marconi was getting his ass kicked by his own customers. For the third time this week, the Italian soldier who'd been collecting tribute from Harlem corners for 15 years was now getting beaten up by junkies demanding to know why his product was garbage compared to the new stuff hitting the streets. "Where's the blue bags?" the customer screamed. "We want blue magic, not this weak shit." Tommy had no idea what blue magic was. He'd never heard the name. But whatever it was destroying his business. His street soldiers were losing territory. His customers were disappearing. And somewhere in Harlem, someone was selling a product so pure, so strong, so superior, that it was making the Italian families look like amateurs. That someone was Frank Lucas. And he wasn't just selling a product. He was conducting a revolution. But to understand how Frank Lucas destroyed the Italian drug trade with chemistry and customer service, you need to understand what the streets looked like before blue magic changed everything. In 1969, buying street merchandise was like playing Russian roulette with your money. You never knew what you were getting. Most of the time, you were paying premium prices for garbage that had been cut and recut so many times, it was barely recognizable. The Italian families controlled the supply chain from Europe to American streets. But they treated it like any other business. Buy cheap, sell expensive, maximize profit margins. They'd take decent product from Turkish and French suppliers and cut it down to 3 to 5% purity by the time it reached customers. The rest was baby powder, quinine, lactose, sometimes rat poison. They didn't care about quality. They cared about quantity. Frank Lucas saw an opportunity in that disrespect. Not just disrespect for customers, but disrespect for the business itself. Frank understood something the Italians didn't. In the drug business, product quality creates customer loyalty. Customer loyalty creates territory control. Territory control creates empire. Frank had established his direct supply line from Southeast Asia using military transport. He was getting product that was 99% pure straight from the Golden Triangle. But instead of doing what every other criminal would do, cut it down and maximize profits, Frank did something revolutionary. He kept it pure, almost pure. Frank would cut his Southeast Asian product down to 98% purity when it hit the streets, still stronger than anything anyone had ever seen, still pure enough to create an entirely new standard for what street merchandise could be, and he'd sell it for less than the Italians charged for their garbage. The mathematics were simple. Frank was buying pure product for pennies and selling it at 98% strength. The Italians were buying decent product for dollars and selling it at 3% strength. Frank could undersell them on price while delivering a beef product that was 30 times stronger. It wasn't even competition. It was evolution. But Frank understood that quality alone wasn't enough. He needed branding. He needed customers to know that his product was different, superior, worth seeking out. That's when Frank created something that had never existed in the drug trade before, a brand name, Blue Magic. Frank packaged his product in distinctive blue glassine bags with Blue Magic stamped in gold letters. The bags were higher quality than anything else on the streets. The product inside was purer than anything anyone had experienced. The name itself suggested something special, something magical, something worth paying for. The branding worked because Frank backed it up with consistency. Every Blue Magic bag contained exactly the same product, same purity, same strength, same quality. Customer knew exactly what they were getting every time. No surprises, no disappointments, no Russian roulette. This was revolutionary. Most street dealers sold whatever they could get, cut it with whatever was available, and hoped customers wouldn't notice the difference. Frank created a controlled manufacturing and distribution process that delivered identical products every time. The word spread through Harlem like wildfire. "You tried that blue magic yet? Where can I get those blue bags? Man, forget everything else. Blue magic is the only thing worth buying." Within 2 weeks, every corner in Harlem was asking for Frank's product. Within a month, customers were traveling from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx specifically to buy Blue Magic. Within 6 months, Frank had created the first nationally recognized brand in the history of the drug trade. The Italian families noticed immediately. Their street soldiers were reporting massive drops in sales. Corners they'd controlled for decades were empty. Customers who'd been loyal for years had disappeared. At first, the Italians thought it was increased police pressure. Then they thought it was territorial competition from other Italian families. When they finally figured out that all their customers were buying from some mysterious supplier selling blue bags, the Italian families went into panic mode. They sent investigators to find out who was behind Blue Magic. They tortured dealers for information. They offered rewards for intelligence about the new supplier. What they found was nothing. Frank's operation was so well insulated, so professionally managed, so different from traditional criminal organizations that the Italians couldn't penetrate it. They were looking for a rival family, another organization they could negotiate with or eliminate. What they found was a ghost who was destroying them with customer service. Vincent the Chin Gigante called an emergency meeting of the 5 families in November 1969. The topic was the Blue Magic crisis. "Somebody's moving serious weight," Gigante said. "Better product, lower prices, taking all our customers. We need to find out who and eliminate them." "Maybe we need to improve our own product," suggested Carlo Gambino. "If their stuff is better, we make ours better." Anthony "Fat Tony" Salerno shook his head. "We can't match their quality without destroying our profit margins. If we sell pure product at their prices, we lose money on every sale." That was the problem. Frank's direct supply line meant he could afford to sell high-quality product at low prices and still make massive profits. The Italian families, with their multiple middlemen and traditional supply chains, couldn't compete on quality without destroying their business model. Joseph Bonanno suggested a different approach. "We find this Blue Magic supplier and force them to work with us. They supply through our distribution. We take our cut. Everyone makes money. But you can't negotiate with someone you can't find." And Frank Lucas had no interest in sharing power with organizations he was systematically destroying. By early 1970, the Blue Magic revolution was complete. Frank's product had created a new standard for street merchandise that nobody else could match. Customers would accept nothing less than Frank's quality and purity. Other suppliers were forced out of business or reduced to serving the bottom of the market. Frank had achieved something unprecedented in criminal history. He'd created a monopoly based on quality rather than violence. Instead of fighting for territory, Frank had made territory irrelevant. Customers came to him regardless of geographical boundaries because his product was simply superior to everything else available. The psychological impact on customers was profound. For the first time, street buyers knew exactly what they were getting. No more uncertainty, no more disappointment, no more wondering if they'd wasted their money on garbage. Blue Magic created trust between supplier and customer that had never existed in the drug trade before. But Frank's revolution went beyond. Customer satisfaction. By proving that quality could dominate quantity, Frank had fundamentally changed the economics of the drug business. He'd shown that customers would pay premium prices for premium products, that brand loyalty was more valuable than territory control, that innovation could defeat tradition. The Italian families tried everything to fight back. They attempted to replicate Frank's packaging with their own blue bags. They imported higher quality product from their European suppliers. They lowered their prices to match Frank's. Nothing worked. Frank had first mover advantage in the quality market. He'd established Blue Magic as the gold standard before anyone else understood what game they were playing. By the time the Italian families realized they needed to compete on quality, Frank had already won the loyalty of every serious customer in New York. The Blue Magic Revolution lasted for 6 years. From 1969 to 1975, Frank's product dominated the New York market so completely that blue bags became synonymous with high-quality merchandise. Customers would ask for blue instead of asking for drugs. The brand had transcended the product. Frank's success with Blue Magic proved several things that changed organized crime forever. First, customer service could be more powerful than territory control. Second, product innovation could defeat traditional criminal methods. Third, branding and marketing worked just as well for illegal businesses as legal ones. Law enforcement agencies studying Frank's operation were amazed by its sophistication. This wasn't a traditional criminal enterprise based on violence and intimidation. This was a corporation that happened to be illegal. Frank had applied legitimate business principles to illegitimate products and achieved unprecedented success. When Detective Richie Roberts finally arrested Frank in 1975, he found business records that looked like Fortune 500 company reports. Inventory management, quality control, procedures, customer feedback systems, brand development strategies. Frank had revolutionized criminal enterprise by treating it like legitimate business. The Blue Magic Revolution ended when Frank was arrested, but its impact lasted for decades. Every major criminal organization that followed studied Frank's methods. The emphasis on product quality, customer loyalty, and brand development became standard practices in organized crime. Today, law enforcement agencies teach Frank's Blue Magic strategy as an example of how criminal organizations adapt and evolve. He proved that intelligence and innovation could be more effective than violence and tradition. He showed that customers, even illegal customers, respond to superior products and reliable service. Frank Lucas didn't just sell drugs. He revolutionized an industry. He didn't just make money. He changed the rules of how money is made. He didn't just compete with the Italian families. He made competition irrelevant by creating a market they couldn't enter. The Blue Magic Revolution proved something that scared both law enforcement and organized crime. The most dangerous criminals aren't the ones who break laws. They're the ones who perfect law-breaking. They're the ones who turn crime into science, chaos into system, violence into business. Frank Lucas took the street drug trade from the Stone Age to the Space Age in 6 months. All it took was chemistry, psychology, and the understanding that even criminals deserve good customer service. If this story of innovation, quality, and market domination moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you understand that sometimes revolution comes in blue bags. Share this with someone who knows that excellence always defeats mediocrity, even in illegal businesses. What would you have done if you were the Italian families? Let me know in the comments below.